everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Couch Warrior podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and today we're going to be breaking down UFC San Diego for episode 28. And I'm joined by two very special guests, and hopefully a third soon. We've got Liam from Liam Picks Fights and Ben the Bane Davis. So real quick, I'll let them introduce themselves, let you guys know how they feel about this card, and then we'll get right into it and hope that Saeed Yukub joins us soon. So, Liam, let's start with you. How are you, bro? Thank you for coming on, and what do you think of this card? Are you hyped?
Absolutely, man. Should be a good one. Overall, it's not the greatest quality UFC card, but at least we're going to be out. We're going to be out of the Apex in front of some fans, get a little bit of energy in the room. And UFC San Diego, I think it should be pretty good. Got a couple local fighters on the card. You know, UFC kind of was forced to string this one together a little bit. Short notice, kind of lost some important fights on the top of the bill. But I think with what they've been able to throw together, we still should have a quality event on Saturday. So looking forward to it.
Dope. And how about you, Ben? How do you feel about this card?
Got to echo it. You know, the star power does drop off once you get outside that marquee matchup, but at the same time, it should deliver. As Liam mentioned, we've got some hometown heroes, Dominick Cruz most notably. So the atmosphere should be great. I know California is really fantastic at delivering more often than not in terms of the fan experience. And fights are fights, baby. Every week we can talk about the quality of the card, but the reality is these people are going to come here to throw down and show up and show out. So I'm excited.
Yeah, man. Honestly, it started as a weak card, but like they've been trying to add stuff to it, so it's been all right. A bunch of transplant fights, but yeah, I'm pretty hyped too. Honestly, I'm hyped every week. I like to see how my bets end up. I feel like it's mad exciting. But all right, we can get right into it. Again, hopefully Saeed Yukub will join us soon. But I know he's a big gambler himself, so that could be fun. But we'll get started meanwhile. And we've got a fight that was supposed to happen last week, so I'm sure Liam's already broken it down. I broke it down already. Ben, I think you were with Chronic Combat last week or the week before, so I'm not sure if you broke this fight down, but yeah, let's get right into it. We've got Jason Witt versus Josh Quinlan. Jason Witt is 19, 8-0, 35 years old, 5'10", 70-inch reach, training out of Glory MMA. And then Quinlan on the other side, 5-0, juiced to the gills, 6 feet tall, 72-inch reach, training out of, let me see what I got for him. I've got Wanderlei Silva's camp. We all knew that already. One fight team. So for this one, Liam, why don't you start us off, man?
Yeah, I think that, Jason Witt, in terms of what he does well, he's a powerful wrestler. You know, he could string together his punches into his takedown attempts. A lot of what he does is classic wrestle boxer stuff. He throws the overhand right. He tries to crash his way into the pocket. When he wraps his hands, he normally elevates somebody, picks him up for a double leg. I don't think his cardio is anything to write home about. He was kind of slowing down pretty significantly in the Bryan Barberena fight. Truth be told, Bryan Barberena, fun fighter, action fighter, brings a ton of volume, can't stop a takedown, never could stop a takedown. So Jason Witt, if you're going to find a guy you could beat in the UFC, it's probably Bryan Barberena. He can't stop a takedown. Every time he had him hurt, he'd just sit him to his butt briefly, gather himself. And there was a couple times Jason Witt is like, his mouthpiece is on the ground. He's like looking around, like the guy doesn't have, the durability, I would say, to fight at this level long-term. So it's, almost inspirational. The fact he's been able to put together some UFC wins. He's been able to recover from some tough fights, but we just saw what happened to Takashi Sato last weekend. Takashi Sato, like one of his few UFC wins is over Jason Witt very quickly without much resistance. Witt's taken some short notice opportunities. That's, I think, the reason the UFC likes to keep him around. He's a tough guy. He'll take a fight, but I think that they like Josh Quinlan because he's got a potential future in the division. He's a young guy. He's got some power. He's got some upside. He's coming back off the USADA suspension, but I think the grain of salt there is like, everybody's going to talk about what happened last week, but John Jones, same kind of deal, right? Somebody, you get flagged for these metabolites well after the fact. It's like, eventually they can't keep punishing you for the same crime. So it's possible that he took new steroids. I hope he did, frankly, if I'm going to bet on him, right? But it's like, if not, then I just have to bank on the fact that, number one, he's going to have residual benefits from that. Even if you stop taking them, that's the reason why the metabolites are there. It's still breaking down. You still have it in your system, and you've still gotten the training benefits as well. So I think overall, I think Quinlan's a deserved favorite here. And I think he's probably going to win by knockout.
Only echo I've got, is finished. I mean, Liam couldn't have said it better than anybody else out here. I will admit that contender series fade is always in effect, and it's something that I do look at quite seriously. But with the durability issues that I feel we're looking at with the Vanilla Gorilla, I don't know. I got to go with Quinlan. Also, he's a much more attractive guy. I look at the optics of it. He's a good-looking dude. It doesn't play into it, but boy, I feel if Luke Rockhold can get to the belt by being attractive, Josh Quinlan can get through this test tonight.
If handsomeness gets you to a belt, Oberg's got a title shot coming, bro. But all right, yeah. So for me, honestly, I'm kind of stuck now because I played Jason Witt last week, and the books don't forgive if they move the fight. So I'm stuck with my Jason Witt play. But I will say this: I made that play before the weigh-ins, and when I looked at the weigh-ins, I was like, oh no, because Quinlan looks big, man. He looks way bigger than Witt, way bigger than I expected. Like, I knew he had a size advantage, but I didn't think it was going to look like that. So realistically, like, I only have a half unit on Witt, and then I've got a quarter unit on his decision. So I don't hate the bet. I do think it can win. You know, Quinlan has shown some weaknesses in the takedown defense. It's not perfect on the regionals. So Witt, you know, if he does get that wrestling off, he's very strong. He can do it. He can hold him down. I was never a huge Witt fan, so I don't like this bet, especially knowing that now Quinlan's still on steroids, possibly. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to ride with my thing. I'm not going to hedge out, but I can't blame anyone for a Quinlan KO. I mean, if he gets the opportunity, I think there's a good chance he sleeps Witt. So definitely makes sense.
One other thing to quickly note is they did move the weight class. So they did bump this 5 pounds. I think in terms of like looking for a narrative to back Jason Witt or to support a Jason Witt bet, you know, 5 pounds less of cutting weight could be beneficial for a guy who's historically had 10 pounds, who's had a ton of weight cutting issues. 10 pounds could be a significant difference in terms of what he has to get out of his body in the lead up. So maybe his durability checks out a little bit better as a result.
Makes sense to me. But all right, we can move right along to a fight that we haven't broken down yet. We've got Youssef Zalal coming back finally versus a UFC debutant in Damon Blackshear. We've got Zalal, who's 10-5-0, 25 years old, 5'10". I believe this reach is incorrect on Topology. I think it's 72-inch reach, and he's training out of Factory X Muay Thai. On the other side, Blackshear is 12-4-0, 28 years old, 5'10", same height, 72-inch reach, same reach, and he is training out of, what do I have here? I got Jackson Wink. So, Bane, why don't you start us off, man?
Let's talk about those 5 losses that Zalal has accrued. 3 of those within his last 3 outings. It just feels like the momentum is escaping him. You know, I don't know if he's mentally right in the right spot after 3 losses. He's a young kid. There's still a lot left on the mileage, but 3 losses against now a guy who's coming up. He's hungry. CFFC is a great promotion, and he's been killing it in there. I don't know. I don't want to say just off the optics of the momentum, but Zalal really hasn't found those results. And then you look at the monster, he's found him. And Zalal's talented, but he is very young, and it just feels like in his last couple, he hasn't been able to put together. Granted, tough opponents, Ilia Topuria, Woodson, Sung-Woo Choi. So it's like I can't criticize him all that much. But at the same time, I just haven't really loved what he's done in those losses. So let's go with the debutante. I'll swing on the guy who's riding that 4-5 win streak. Liam,
what do you think, man?
Yeah, so I would say, and I used to always joke about this, that Youssef Zalal is like the guy I've gotten the most wrong in his UFC tenure, in the sense that I thought this guy was like, you know, potential top 10, you know, kind of guy. Like he just struck me as a guy who was very young. He was aggressive. He was styling. You know, he was doing a lot of things well, but he kind of lacked some of that maturity, some of the volume, a little bit of focus, a little bit of consistency in his fights, and it's cost him, right? You know, you look at his fights, most of them haven't really been blowouts. He lost to 29-28 to Ilia Topuria. Granted, you could say, you know, maybe Ilia gets that 3rd round. It's very dicey, very close. He's certainly, you know, having a little bit of a cardio dump towards the end of that. Sung-Woo Choi, he wins the 3rd round of that fight, but he dropped the first 2 rounds there, got out wrestled, got out physicaled by Sung-Woo Choi, who's a fringe top 15 guy. You know, he's coming off the losses, but I think before that, people were talking about Sung-Woo Choi like he was the next guy. You know, he was their, you know, their version of Youssef Zalal, if you will, a little bit too high on their own supply with, you know, Sung-Woo Choi. And then in the last fight, it's a split decision against Sean Woodson. Woodson in decisions has been quite good. You know, really how you get to Woodson is by finishing him. which has happened to him, but Terrence McKinney was winning every minute of the fight, gets, nuked in that spot. Most guys haven't won all the minutes against Woodson. So I thought that for me, Zalal getting some minutes there, split decision, got it on one card. He hasn't had a blowout loss in the UFC. Then on the other side, he 30-26, slippery Pete Barrett, absolutely like brutalized him, clear win for Zalal. And in some of those other fights, he's hurting guys. Austin Lingo, that's a win that's aged okay. Austin Lingo's been competitive in the UFC as well. So I don't think Zalal is a bad fighter. Factory X, they've been on a roll lately. I just can't ignore it, right? I've lost so much money fading Factory X guys straight up. Cody Brundage took all my money. What's his name? Dustin Jacoby took all my money. So I'm not going to keep fading these guys for sure if they're going to keep producing these results. 25 years of age, 6 UFC fights under your belt, and you're fighting somebody who's making their debut, who's 27 years of age, who granted does have a lot of momentum, does have a lot of good wins, but does show that he can get out wrestled, that he can get out grappled, and he's fighting a guy who was at 145, who's been gone for a while, and he's coming back at 135. I think that this could be a totally different use of Zalal. I think he could be a dominant force if his physicality translates at 135. He's got a very big frame. So I'm interested to see how he shows up here in his next UFC stint, in his next UFC opportunity. I think if it's 4 in a row, he's going to get the axe, but I think he could save his UFC career with a win on Saturday night and maybe establish some momentum at 135. So I like Youssef Zalal here to get the win.
I also think it's important to note I've just discovered that Damon Blackshear does have an existing loss to Chris Moutinho, which certainly doesn't build confidence. So, I'm on the fence now.
Yeah, man. I mean, me personally, I don't have much to add from what Liam said. I'm on the Zalal side. My main concern here is just the weight, right? Like, we haven't seen him at bantamweight in a while. I'm not even sure if ever. Could be wrong about that. I didn't check. But in terms of, styles, like you look at Blackshear, he's very wrestling focused. His striking isn't bad, but he's very wrestling focused. And if he can't get the takedowns here, I think Zalal is going to be really difficult to hit. He doesn't stop that lateral movement. He just goes and goes and goes and goes. The output is a bit lacking. I would have liked better on the output, but I do like Zalal here. I think he's going to bounce back. The 3 opponents he lost to, Sungwoo Choi, I bet him there. I thought Sungwoo Choi would win, and it made sense. And then Topuria and Woodson, like, those are all decent losses. So, yeah, I like Zalal. And I'm going to stop right now because our fourth guest is finally here.
What's up, guys?
What's up, man?
I was eating Portillo's, so I'm sorry.
Nah, no problem. No problem, man. How are you? Thank you for coming on.
No problem, man. My pleasure.
You have any opinions on the Zalal Blackshear fight?
Yeah, I'll go with you. I think Zalal is... He will get it done, man. He's just more experienced, and I just think it's just easy money. And then I know about the other guy too. I watched his last CFFC fight. He's not just ready. He's just taking this fight just to be in the UFC. You know what I mean? So yeah.
What do you think about the weight cut of Zalal going down to bantamweight? You think that'll matter?
I think he's not I think he's a natural bantamweight, I would say, because he already fought a bantamweight one time, and I don't think he was looking bad at it, so he felt good. I mean, no, he's a natural bantamweight, I think.
Yeah, all right, makes sense to me. But thank you for coming on, man, and we'll move on right to the next fight. We've got a flyweight fight here. We've got Ode Osbourne versus Tyson Nam. Osbourne is 11-4-0. 5'7", 72-inch reach, 30 years old, training out of Syndicate MMA. On the other side, we've got Tyson Nam, 20-12-1, 38 years old, 5'7", 68-inch reach. So he's giving up 4 inches in reach. And in terms of camp, I've got him training at a sports lab. So, Saeed Yaqub, why don't you start us, man? What do you think?
I think on that fight, I think I go with Ode Osbourne just because Tyson Nam been like so out for so long, and then the reach advantage, and then Ode has really good wrestling as well, and then he fights really good. He keeps his distance really nice. I mean, even if you look at his last fight, only thing I don't like about him is that he keeps his chin up too high, and Tyson Lin, Tyson Nam, he has he punches hard. Like, I heard a lot of people saying that he has a hard punch. So that's like You know, it's just like a risky fight, but I gotta go with Ode. I think he's gonna be smart and then, you know, play it right.
Yeah, man. Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, no, to back that up, 12 of 20 wins by KO for Tyson Nam. He does pack that punch considerably, but it's about landing it. And he's had a hard time landing that punch his last couple outings. Admittedly, he's fighting really tough guys. Cachoeira France, Sergio Pettis, Matt Schnell. And so his strength of schedule is certainly there. But I just love what Ode brings to the octagon. The distance management's really on point. Even though he lost to Manel Cape, I love that first round. It seemed like he was getting the better of Manel until that jumping knee came out of absolutely nowhere. And then obviously now on a two-fight win streak, his last one being a first-round KO. I think that the distance is going to cause Nam problems. He is 38, so athletically the skills are going to tip to Ode. And I don't think that he's going to finish him, but Osbourne by decision, I feel like that's a really good spot.
Wait, Tyson Nam is 38?
Yeah.
I know, right? Yeah, I thought he was younger too.
That, man. He looks young.
He's Hawaiian. They just don't age. They don't fucking age.
Damn. I did not know that.
Liam, what are you thinking, man?
Yeah, I mean, Tyson Nam certainly doesn't look 38, but 38 at the bantamweight division, it's normally not a good look long-term. And I do think that, you know, he's been going against some guys that like to be slick, that like to outpoint you a little bit from the outside. I know Matt Schnell finished his last fight, but oftentimes he's content to, you know, slip on the outside, throw a couple of jabs, and just outwork somebody from boxing range. He did that to Tyson Nam. I'm not sure why Ode Osbourne, with the length, with the youth, with the speed, couldn't do the same thing. And on top of that, you know, we've seen he's got that pretty dynamic offense. He can fly through the air and land a big knee. And when you're 38 years of age, the recoverability might not be there. He does show 3 losses by knockout. It's been since like 2015, 2016. I would almost say he's due, especially with the striking fights he's been in. And if you're not going to throw volume, it's going to be hard to keep somebody off you. And somebody like Ode Osbourne, I don't think he's going to be afraid of engaging. You know, even with Manel Cap, he was engaging and doing great until he got caught in that fight. So I think that Ode Osbourne is the side here, but I also think that you know, I don't feel great about the price. You know, he's a pretty significant favorite. I do think if the fight goes to decision, it could be a little greasier. You know, Tyson Nam, he's pretty slick. It's not always easy to hit him, but at 38, I think the reflexes, the speed might be going just a little bit. The inactivity, he could get caught just based on the ring rust and everything else. So I have to lean Ode Osbourne here, but probably not going to bet on the fight.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't have much. Oh, sorry, Saeed. What were you saying?
Oh, nothing. I agree with the guy. I didn't even check the odds, so I don't know. I'm just going based on what I know, you know. I don't even know the odds. I didn't even check.
Yeah, so the odds right now are, let me pull them up real quick.
I'm looking now. Ode Osbourne minus 225 is the best I'm seeing, and the market average is
like minus 240, 250, right?
Yeah, like minus 250.
Yeah, man.
It's pretty steep. Pretty steep.
For this fight, I don't have too much to add because you guys hit all the points. I mean, I'm on Osbourne too. I got him at minus 230 as a parlay piece. But look, like we talk about Tyson Nam and everyone says he has this knockout power. That's his path. That's his path. All right, let's look at who he knocked out. Jerome Rivera, who Ode Osbourne knocked out also, just faster. And Zaruk Adashev, who Ode Osbourne also knocked out. And that's it. That's it for the UFC. Outside of the UFC, the last time he got a KO was in 2019 against, at the time, 5-8-0 Donald Gonzalez, right? So, sure, he has this power, but, like, against who? You know, you look at Ode Osbourne, like, he can take a shot. That fight against CJ Vergara, like, sure, CJ was an up-and-comer at the time. No one really thought much of him. Ode Osbourne was a big favorite, but, like, I feel like Ode Osbourne showed a lot of good things there. He showed that he's not just a one-round fighter. And, yeah, I think that he's got the tools here to win this fight. I don't think that Nam's going to knock him out. I'd be really surprised. And
Tyson Nam had a professional fight in 2006. If he wins this weekend, God bless him.
ooh,
My goodness, dude. That's a lifetime.
2006, man. I was 11.
Saeed, how old are you? You're 24?
26.
All right, I'm 24.
Yeah, we were watching cartoons while Tyson Nam was fighing.
Literally.
Admittedly, Donald Gonzalez is the future of bantamweight. I'm heavily on Mr. Gonzalez. He can make a comeback for sure.
I wonder what his record is now. But all right, we'll move right along. Next up, we've got, oh, this one's interesting. We got Gabriel Benitez versus Charlie Ontiveros. Benitez is 22-10-0, 34 years old, 5'8", 71-inch reach, training out of AKA. And Ontiveros on the other side is 11-8-0, 31 years old, 6'2", 76-inch reach. So he's got quite a bit of reach here, 5 inches. He's got 4 inches in height, and he's training out of War Training Center. So I think it's my turn. So I'll start this one. And so last week I locked in a bet on Ontiveros at like plus 275. And while I'm happy with that bet, I really wish I did a half unit and not a full unit because it's risky, man. It is risky. I get everyone's points. Like Ontiveros is super chinny. I think like 6-7 KO losses for the guy, 8 KO losses. Not a great look against a guy like Benitez. Benitez, skill for skill, Benitez blows this guy out of the park, in my opinion. It's a matter of where we are at right now. And I understand that Onama and Ontiveros are two very different people with very different skills. But I feel like Ontiveros is going to be live for a KO here. I don't think necessarily it has to be round 1. He hurt his opponent in round 2 in his last fight as well. I think it's entirely possible he gets leg kicked to hell, gets KO'd by Benitez. So that's why I do wish I played it for a half unit. But I don't hate the bet. I like the dog odds. I do think that Benitez is on the downward trend. And while Ontiveros isn't necessarily on an upward trend, he does have power and he does have some skills. That axe kick was crazy, man. So, yeah, that's what I'm thinking here. Liam, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I didn't almost shit my pants when he landed that axe kick. But I have made a lot of money, truth be told, fading Charlie Ontiveros. My Bet MMA tips is very, very green on that section. And it's just been, fading him, parlaying his opponents, betting people to win inside the distance, betting unders. Charlie Ontiveros has quit in a lot of fights. There's just no other way to say it. Like he's been injured in some fights. He's just said no more in a couple fights. That being said, you look at the circumstances. Obviously, you should have never fought Kevin Holland at 185. Whoever sanctioned that, has no regard for Charlie Ontiveros' health or safety. But this is the kind of fight where it seems like the as far as is a real question. Because Mowgli in his own right has been on hard times. But I do think the UFC likes him. They know that he works really hard. They know that he's said yes to a bunch of fights that nobody wanted to take, like Onama. And frankly, he was doing very well and looked like he might have been on his way to winning the Onama fight. But Onama is younger, fresher, was able to take the shots and come back, and then landed a shot that he couldn't take. And I think that, if he lands his shots in this fight, I don't think Ontiveros can take him. But if Ontiveros gets off first, Ontiveros might win. So for me, unders are the way to look at this fight. Fight not to go the distance. These guys are going to kill each other. And I don't think either one of them can take a good shot anymore. I think both of them can deliver a good shot, truthfully. That's the thing about Ontiveros that makes him a fighter. The guy can go out there and swing and hit hard, and he can knock people out, and he can hurt them. But I think that, answering the bell to damage is not something he does extremely well. Frankly, I think Steve Garcia is a pretty low-end fighter for the division at the UFC level, and Steve Garcia put an absolute number on him. So for me, pretty low-level fight, but I like Gabriel Benitez knockout round 1.
I will say this before I pass it on. You watch that Ontiveros-Holland fight. I agree it should have never been sanctioned, but Holland shot a minute in, which isn't something he does. So it makes me wonder, did Ontiveros hit him with something where he was like, ouch, I'm going to just shoot? That made me think too. But Saeed, your screen is black. Are you around, brother?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just looking at the fights, man. I'm sorry. I'm on my phone.
Nah, you're good. You're good. What do you think of this fight?
Yeah, I think that tall guy, is just a better fighter, man.
Give me the Mustang key, please.
You talking about Ontiveros?
Yeah. Is that what fight you guys talking about?
That's the fight.
Yep, that's the guy, man. Other guy fucking lost. Who did he lose to his last fight?
Onama.
He lost bad.
And he had to say that he's 5'7"?
I believe so. Either 5'7" or 5'8".
Yeah, man. That's just... Yeah, man. He ain't got
Short king.
I know. I love it. I love betting on the height.
Yeah,
I'm a size bully guy. But all
right.
right.
I don't know much, so I can't really bet on the fight that I don't know.
I get it. How about you, Ben? What are you thinking, man?
I gotta look at the value, right? And that's kind of what Liam was hitting at with the unders. You're never gonna see me say that minus 350 Gabriel Benitez is a good bet. He's won in his last 4. He's been finished in 3 of them. Minus 350, get the fuck out of here. So it's going to be unders. It's going to be something kind of outside of that money line play. And against Ontiveros, all 8 of his losses, he's been knocked out. He's been finished. He said no, as we've mentioned. He quits. The durability is not there. And I don't know. I think that Gabriel Benitez can find that shot. And I think he can find it sooner than Charlie Ontiveros can. Granted, he does have that big height disadvantage, but Charlie, it's not like he uses that height or that length very well. He's not a fighter that capitalizes on it, the physical advantages that he has. And Benitez is a dog, admittedly. I mean, he went to some deep waters with Billy Quarantillo and lasted to that 3rd round. Against Onama, he got sparked out, admittedly. But I feel in terms of who can walk through the fire to land their own strikes, Benitez can do it more effectively than Charlie Ontiveros can. So, same thing. I'm going to go with Benitez. Once the line comes out for like under 1.5, I'm sure I'll hammer that.
Makes sense to me. I mean, 1.5, I think it's out already in most places. Under 1.5
It's like minus
is
230, minus 250.
And
I'll look for a different prop. I go on DraftKings, right? So I do DraftKings. They're slow to release.
You can find, I think, on DraftKings, the under half a round prop. I would take that too.
that's not bad. That's not bad. But all right, we'll move along.
First punch, this fight's over. I have a bad feeling.
Axe
for
kick,
either guy.
axe kick KO instantly. Have we gotten an axe kick KO in UFC history? Do you guys know?
We have
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we have. That would be crazy. But
I was so close to cashing that 1 minute with Bo Nickel yesterday. God, 2 seconds off.
2
Absolutely
seconds.
killed
2
me.
seconds. That was crazy. Saeed, were you watching yesterday, the Contender Series?
Nope.
Did you see Bo Nickel fight?
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. He's man. You gotta respect, man. He's a fucking national champion, man. That's just no joke, man. It's just no. I mean, what do you expect? He's just fighting dudes from 7-Eleven. So come on, man.
I feel you.
So he needs to. That's why he needs someone better. Maybe he needs somebody with good jiu-jitsu, I would say. Let's see what he can do with it, and then we can take him seriously. But wrestling is just not enough. I mean, just one wrestling, not enough. He needs to. I mean, his hands are not bad. I watched his fight a little bit. He was reading the distance really nice. He wasn't just typical wrestler. I mean, the guy has a future, man. I feel like he has a big future.
Yeah, agreed, man. Agreed. But all right, we'll move on to another fight. And this one's another transplant. Not the most exciting, but we got to break it down anyways. We've got Nina Nunes versus Cynthia Calvillo. Nunes is 10-7-0, 36 years old, 5'5", 64-inch reach. And I don't think it's American Top Team anymore. I'm pretty sure her and Amanda are doing their own thing. And Calvillo on the other side is 9-4-1. She's 35 years old, 5'4", so she's giving up an inch in height, 64-inch reach, and I've got her training out of. I don't have anything, so we're gonna go with Team Alpha Male, even though I'm not positive that's correct.
I think she's at AKA.
That
AKA.
sounds better. AKA.
Sure, Dog's got Tiger Muay Thai, so we're all in different places.
Yeah, I think last time I checked, she was at AKA.
Okay, that's good to know. That's honestly pretty interesting for Calvillo. But yeah, Saeed, why don't you start us off then, if you know where she's training?
Man, let me tell you this, man. When it comes to girls, man, I'm always wrong. So
that's my best. That's my best record is the women.
I hate that shit, man. This is like with women, man. It's like it depends which one's gonna show up. But I don't really like how Nina fights. I gotta go with the other girl. She's just more dog, I think.
Makes sense to me. Ben, how about you?
Echo it. Yeah, Calvillo's really impressed me with her heart, her will, her determination. Yeah. I absolutely loved what she displayed against Jessica I thought that was a perfect fight. everything since then has not gone according to plan. So it is difficult to really back either of them. They're both on losses. Admittedly, they're fighting some of the best in the division. On Nina's side, Dern, Tatiana Suarez. On Calvillo's side, the absolute refrigerator that is Jessica Andrade. And then KGB Elite, which gets the corner stoppage. So it's tough. I want to go with Calvillo. I think that she's got a bit stronger grappling, but Nunes, she's got a lot of other tools as well. She does have a loss to Justine Kish, though, so we're going to back Cynthia Calvillo all the way.
All right, Liam, how about you, man?
That's a Bellator champion you're talking about, so you better watch your mouth. But no, I'm just playing. As far as I'm concerned, I had initially thought about betting Cynthia when they first booked this matchup. I think that the better angels in my nature are telling me to just pass on this fight entirely. Nina, I don't know that we could be sold on what we're going to see. Frankly, it was kind of scary what I heard about that, like weight miss and like not feeling good and whatever. Just not feeling optimal on the day of the contest. Don't love that for a rebooking. And it seems like she's got more interest now from the betting community as a result, which I don't fully understand. But I also think that Cynthia, I just went back and watched her tape. The KGB Lee fight, it's a really bad look. I do think that it's not to say that she can't recover from that. She can't bounce back, but just like a fighter, calling their own fight at 34, 35, trying to get into title contention, not a good sign long-term, but both these women are kind of at the same stage of their career. And it does look like Calvillo's invested in her training camp in terms of preparation. If she's at AKA, I know she's been pictured with Andy Ruiz. She's been pictured in a lot of boxing gyms as well. So I think she's been trying to get after her work, basic wrestle boxer type of skill set. I think that's what she's going to try and bring to bear here. But when she gets on top, she's quite good. She almost got Marina Rodriguez out of there. She got a 10-8 round, but she hasn't been able to get her wrestling game off in recent fights. I think that if she's able to get it off here, she's going to look a lot better. So give me Cynthia Calvillo, but not much confidence.
Yeah, man. I mean, when this fight was first scheduled, I was on the Nunes side. I actually played her. I think it was like plus 145. And when this fight got rescheduled, I was like, honestly, I probably dodged a bullet there. Nunes has been out for a minute. We only saw her against Dern. Dern is, a different fighter than Calvillo, but she got finished quick. And, it wasn't the most comforting performance. But, now she's plus 165. And I do give her quite the striking edge. Yeah, I can't really compare her to Andrea Lee. I can't really compare her to Jessica Andrade, but like she is a good striker. You watch her fight against Tatiana Suarez. She was winning those striking exchanges. She was losing in the grappling, but even then she was holding her own. I just got a fly landed on my nose. You guys see that? But yeah,
I missed it. Go back.
I'll try to rewind. But yeah, I'm not going to play this one. My pick is probably going to be the dog at this point, dog or pass. I think if you wait, you might be able to get Nunes at like plus 170, plus 175. At that point, I think it's entirely too wide. So if it gets there, I'll probably play it. But like you guys, I do get the upside on Calvillo. It's tough with Nunes. You also think about this, right? People will say she had this camp with Amanda, right? She's got to look good. But also, if Amanda was training, someone's got to take care of the baby, right? If that was Nunes, she's not getting time to train. She's not getting to use that camp just like Amanda is. So I'm not a narrative guy. I'm not going to go too much into that. But yeah, my pick is going to be dog or pass, but we'll move right along. All right, this one I got a hot take on. We got Lucas Brzeski versus Martin Buday. Brzeski is 8-1-1, 30 years old, 6'4", 79-inch reach, training out of what do I got? I've got Kotwick MMA team, same as Tapology. And Martin Buday, 10-1-0, 30 years old as well, 6'4" as well, 77-inch reach. And he is training out of Spartacus Fight Gym. So I believe it is your turn, Ben. Why don't you start us off?
Now, I've got a lot of hate for Martin Buday for beating my man Chris Barnett over the course of 15 minutes. Or rather, technical decision. There was that weird thing in round 3. So I don't want him to win necessarily, but I'm going to employ the Contender Series fade in this one. We're going to go against Lucas. He's looked great. Physicality's there. But Martin, just feel like he's maybe at slightly better opposition. It is difficult to tell with these kind of types of promotions. These guys been bouncing around and on the regional scene, who's fighting better up, who's not. But I'm going to go with the fade here. Let's go with Martin Buday.
All right, Liam, how about you?
Yeah, I would tend to agree. As far as I'm concerned, right, Buday, he's a bigger heavyweight. That's going to be a problem for Brzeski, I think, because the grappling is also in Buday's favor. So if you've got a bigger guy and he knows how to grapple, it's a problem for you, in my opinion. And on top of that, Brzeski in a lot of his fights, he's a kickboxer, but he likes to get in the clinch. He likes to try and bully guys there. He likes to put him against the fence. You're going to bully Martin Buday against the fence? Pretty unreasonable in my view. He's got a big base. He's got a low center of gravity. Just think there's a lot working against him physically and anatomically. So, yeah, give me Martin Buday and probably to get a finish.
How about you, Saeed?
Martin Buday, man. You guys are right. I was looking at the fights, and then I saw the fight. Just because he beat Chris Barnett, he's a good fighter. It's not easy to beat. So, and then the other guy is like, he's making his debut.
Making the debut off the Contender Series, yep.
After a PED suspension prevented him from making his debut before.
I was just talking about he's a Polish dude, no?
Yeah.
Oh, bro. Buday all day, bro. I was just talking about the guy that knows him at the gym. He was telling me that he was out for a year. I didn't know it was him. Yeah, I mean, nah. He's a cheater.
Right. Well, that makes me a little less confident in my bet, but I am on the Brzeski side here, and I'm going to say, I'll explain. All right. So first off, if you guys remember the Buday Barnett line, that thing opened up at almost a pick 'em. And I think the furthest Buday got was like minus 250. And I'm sorry, but there was no way Barnett was winning that fight. Even with the lucky spinning kick, come on. That was John Vellante on his way out. That's not the same thing as Martin Buday. So, and now you're telling me the odds are similar against Lucas Brzeski. I don't understand that. I don't think that Barnett was necessarily ever UFC caliber. I love that he's here. He's super entertaining. But at the end of the day, skill-wise, I don't think that he was necessarily ever there. And Brzeski, while he's not some prospect either, I think that he's got the size. And if you look at it, where does Buday succeed, right? Where does he find the most success? In the clinch against the fence. That's where almost all of his fights take place. Against the fence in the clinch position. Lorenzo Hood on the Contender Series, that's exactly what happened. Chris Barnett, same thing. Is he going to be able to hold a guy who's the same size as him against the fence? I'm not convinced. And also, if you look at the competition, Chris Barnett versus Dylan Potter, who wins? Close fight, in my opinion. So, I don't know. I like Brzeski. I like him as an underdog shot. He's plus 250 now and climbing. So if you agree with me, I would wait. I got him at plus 225 for a unit. I just think that it's too wide. Buday at distance doesn't impress me. He's just really good in the clinch. And I think that the second that he's fighting someone who's not going to allow him that clinch, I think we're going to see some holes. So I think that we might see that this fight. And I don't hate the Brzeski shot. I took it for one unit. So move on. Next up, we've got Angela Hill versus Loopy Godinez. Angela Hill is 13, 12-0, 37 years old, 5'3", 65-inch reach, training out of Alliance MMA. And she's fighting Loopy Godinez, 8-2-0, 28 years old, 5'2", 61-inch reach. So she's giving up a bit in reach. And I have her training out of Titan MMA. So, Liam, why don't you start us off?
Oh my! So this is a fight that I like on paper. Loopy Godinez has been one of my favorite prospects coming up. The only time I took an L with her was when she went up in weight class. Pretty quick turnaround. I think it was 2 weeks turnaround from one fight to another. And I thought she was still going to be able to take down Luana Carolina. Thought that was probably Luana's best performance in the UFC. And she got taken down in the first round really easily. But Loopy just, I felt, got one note in her wrestling approach there. She was trying to muscle somebody who's a little bit bigger and, most importantly, a little bit taller. And so she really couldn't get the lift on the double leg that she needed. Tall people have a way of finding legs to the ground and making it really difficult to take them down when you just go for double leg. So I think that, that's something that she learned from. She trains with her sisters who are both junior Canadian, girls on the, Canadian Olympic team, Olympic circuit for wrestling. So she gets high level looks in terms of her training. I think that her wrestling is vastly superior to most girls in the division. And especially at 115 pounds, I mean, Angela Hill got taken down by Ashley Yoder by taking down herself. Like, she literally was throwing knees in the clinch and falling backwards. Like, I like Angela Hill. I think she's a fun fighter, but this is a horrible, horrible style matchup for her. And I think she's probably going to get exploited. So give me Loopy Godinez. I think she wins the fight, probably dominantly.
How about you, Saeed? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think Loopy's gonna get a finish. I think she's gonna win by finish. I think TKO or submission. That's what I think. Because she's way better than Angela Hill got no. She always been losing split decision to girls that like shouldn't be even there. So I think Loopy will end her, get the finish.
I was muted. How about you, Ben?
Saeed brings up the one term I was going to toss out, split decision, plus 350 for this fight to be won by split decision. Angela Hill seems to be a magnet for some sort of fracturing in the scorecards. But like Liam said, I just see a very dominant decision here by Godinez. She has a lot of tools. She's got so much strength. I have really not been impressed with Overkill Hill the last couple of years. Her only win since May of 2020 is Ashley Yoder, who she beat way back in the day in 2017 already. So not entirely impressive. And I've just loved Loopy. Her mentality, her willingness to get in there. Again, October 9th, she beats Gomez Juarez. Then October 16th, hops in against Luana Carolina. So the fact that she's got so much dog in her and beating girls like Ariane Carnelossi, who is a tank. I mean, the muscles on Carnelossi are better than most, men's flyweights or men's bantamweights. So the fact that she's able to win dominantly against her gives me all the confidence in the world, and that's reflected in the lines. I mean, minus 150 for Godinez by decision. We typically don't see props at like that minus odds, so there's a reason for it.
It's looking like I'm going to be in an island for this entire show. So I have lost so much money on Angela Hill. So much money. I've been backing her every single fight except the Lemos fight. I backed her against Gadelia. I thought she won that fight. But whatever. I backed her against Watterson. Thought she won that fight. I went against her with Lemos. I thought she won that fight. And then Jandiroba, she very clearly lost, right? But so that's the first thing. When I went into the tape, I was like, all right, Angela Hill got out wrestled by Jandiroba, who's not known for her wrestling. She's known for her BJJ, which is elite, but not her wrestling. She's just not known for that. But then I was listening. I like to listen to other podcasts, and I was listening to Uncle Wheezy. Shout out. And he brought up a point that I thought was very legit. Angela Hill, when she was fighting Jandiroba, once she gets taken down and she wants to get back up, she's got to think about those subs, right? She's got to think about not giving up her back. She's got to think about all those things. So maybe she wasn't as willing to get up. This is speculation. I don't like betting on speculation. So my bet here is very small. I played Angela Hill by decision, plus 425 for a quarter unit. I feel like it's a very cheap way to play this. I don't see either of these women finishing each other necessarily. And if we get to a decision, I'm going to, I see why Loopy will probably win, but at plus 425, I feel pretty good with a quarter unit bet. So that's where I'm at. I think I'm going to be on an island this whole show, but we'll move right along.
Loopy Nurmagomedov coming to a city near you.
I will say this. I also think the line's a little bit recency bias, right? She looked so good against Carnelossi. But she didn't look that good against Luana Carolina. She didn't look that good against Penne, even though I think she won that fight. So I feel like there's a bit of recency bias as well. It's more than likely Angela Hill loses another split and just complains the entire time. But I'm going to be rocking with her for a decision, plus 425. And we'll move on to another transplant fight. Here we've got Ariane Lipski versus Priscila Cachoeira. Lipski is 14-7-0, 28 years old. 5'6", 67-inch reach, and I've got her training out of American Top Team. And then Cachoeira on the other side is 11-4-0, 33 years old, 5'7", 65-inch reach, giving up 2 inches in reach, 1 in height, and she's training out of Coelho Team. So, Saeed, I think it's your turn, man. What are you thinking?
Man, I don't even know those girls, man. I'm sorry.
You're all good, bro.
You're better off for it.
I don't know those girls, man. So don't.
I feel you. All right, Ben, how about you, man?
Yeah, I'm siding with Saeed in the sense from my knowledge of these two women is quite slim, but the Queen of Violence, I think, yep, she got that really awesome submission over Luana Carolina, that knee bar, which was just so impressive. And then stagger results since Zombie Girl tried to gouge out the eyes of Jillian Robertson in December of 2021. That has made me want to bet against her every single fight. Granted, she's only had one since. So I'm going to go with Ariane by submission because fuck you, Priscila Cachoeira.
All right, Liam, how about you?
See, this is where me and the Bane differ just ever so slightly, because I look for cheaters and then I put my money on them because I'm like, they're going to cheat for my money. They're going to try their hardest. They'll do anything it takes to win. I'm kidding, of course. But I do think in this spot, I described this on my show last week as like, Priscila Cachoeira is like the tougher fighter of the two of these girls. If you were just like having a grit off, who's going to be, a little meaner, a little tougher, take a couple more punches to the face. I'd say Priscilla is probably that girl among the two of them. But I also think on the other side, just who's the better fighter? Probably Ariane Lipski, probably in all positions. Priscilla is not very skilled on the ground. On the feet, she throws, which is to her benefit. She has a little bit of power, I think, which carries her a long way in WMMA. But I also think that she's there to be hit every return. I think that somebody like Ji Yeon Kim probably should have gotten the nod over her. And because she has some power, she was able to sneak that one out. But I think that the mixing in of takedowns here would be smart from Lipski. I don't think she'll have an answer for that. And I think on top, Lipski could actually have a lot of success here. So wouldn't be surprised if Lipski got a finish. But if Lipski's not, pursuing takedowns, I also wouldn't be surprised if she over the course of this fight, because Priscilla just keeps coming forward and throwing punches. So if you, get tired of that, if you don't want to be in the fight at any point, she'll give you a way out. So for me, at the current prices, it's not as enticing, but I do think Lipski probably gets the win. She's like minus 200 though. So, if you're not feeling pretty solid, you just let that one go.
Yeah, man. I mean, at this rate, I might as well name the island that I'm on because I'm going to be here the whole show. So
Underdog Island. It's a good place to be.
Dude, I hate betting a lot of dogs. I really don't like it. I'm one of those guys who usually is like pick the winner and find value as well. But like recently it's been a lot of dogs for me and I don't know how I feel about it. But anyways, I do have a case here, right? So you look at Lipski and, she's been taken down before by women who shouldn't have taken her down, right? Antonina Shevchenko is my main example here. And I keep hearing all week that people are thinking that it's Lipski who's going to have the grappling edge here. And I just don't get it. Like, what's shown that? You look at Cachoeira, she doesn't really grapple either, but you look at her last fight with Kim. I had Kim. I thought Kim won. I'm a bit biased, but who took who down in that fight? It was Cachoeira who got a takedown, and it wasn't bad either. It looked good to me. And if she can do that, I think that she can wrestle Lipski if she chooses to. And on the feet, Lipski does have a reach edge. She does use that length pretty well. She can get a bit loopy, so it might not matter then. But I think that she will be able to use that reach. I just feel like Cachoeira hits harder. And I think that if anyone's going to have a grappling edge here, it's going to be Cachoeira. Again, I'm stuck with this bet because I placed it last week and you can't get rid of it. So I'm stuck regardless. I got plus 145. Now you can get her, by her, I mean Cachoeira. You can get her plus 165, plus 175 on DraftKings. If it hits plus 120, plus 200, I'm probably going to double up, honestly. But I think it's a close fight, and that's why I like the odds on Cachoeira. But we'll move on, and I'm probably on an island again. We've got Gerald Meerschaert versus Bruno Silva. Meerschaert is 34, 15-0. 34 years old, 6'1", 78-inch reach, and I've got him training out of, I don't have a note, so we're going to go with what he's got there. Anybody know any better than Aguilar Combative Systems?
I'm pretty sure he trains at Rufo Sport, or he did, but I think Rufo Sport been going through some changes, so not exactly sure where Gerald's at. I'll double check that.
All right, we'll go with Rufus Sport for now, and then Silva on the other side is 22, 7-0. 33 years old, 6 feet tall. So he's given up 1 inch in height, 74-inch reach. He's given up about 4 inches in reach, and he is training out of Evoluciao Thai MMA. So, Ben, your turn, man. Why don't you start us off?
Let's get down to the brass tacks of this one. Bruno Silva lost by submission 5 out of 7 times. Gerald Meerschaert, 26 professional subs. 32 finishes out of 34 wins. GM3, an absolute dog. But here's the thing. I was quite high on Bruno Silva for his stretch before the Alex Pereira fight. This guy was finishing every single fucking person. I could not have been happier with it. Cashed many tickets. And I predicted that he would lose the Pereira fight, but he was durable in that one. He ate the shots and he lasted to the judges' scorecards, which impressed me greatly. Now, again, Gerald's going to come in here with a different approach. He's going to come out quick, going to look for that submission, and it's gotten Bruno before. But I think at this level of the game where each athlete is at, I feel Bruno Silva by finish is probably just where I'm leaning. I think he can survive the early onslaught, and I think the durability of GM3 has seen better days. And once Bruno connects, I think it's going to be lights out for Gerald Meerschaert.
How about you, Liam? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think Gerald Meerschaert is like far and away the most proven guy Bruno Silva's fought in the UFC. You know, even in his last fight, Alex Pereira, dangerous guy, extremely scary. They had a kickboxing match, you know, and God bless him for it. I mean, Alex Pereira is going to win a kickboxing match with almost anybody, right? But Bruno was the one who tried to mix in a little grappling there, had very little success. The problem that I have with Gerald long-term is like he just hangs his chin right in the air. Like if you want to hit Gerald on the chin, you're going to be able to, and that's a problem against somebody like Bruno. So I think that, you know, fight doesn't go the distance is probably my number one look here. Just because both these guys are very violent. Both these guys want to finish and they both look for it throughout the fight. But the other thing is Gerald Meerschaert, like I'm not in the business of laying -3XX against him. You know, I will wear the badge of shame forever that I did bet Gerald Meerschaert against Khamzat Chimaev. Like I bet Gerald Meerschaert in so many fights because everybody hates him and everybody thinks he stinks.
Get out of here.
I know. But it was a quarter unit shot. And the truth is, man, like Gerald Meerschaert, he got one punch in that fight. He probably should have never taken it. He had gotten knocked out by Ian Heinisch like a month and a half before. But that's the kind of guy he is. He'll say yes to any fight. He'll fight anybody. And even guys where stylistically they have advantages. Dustin Stoltzfus comes to mind. I remember everybody was telling me, I'm betting Dustin Stoltzfus like he's going to beat Gerald Meerschaert. And I told everybody, I was like, guys, I know he's not somebody you want to lay -225, but the truth is he's going to lose every minute of the fight and submit him. And then he did just that. And against Makhmudmuradov, I think people have a false memory of that fight, where like Gerald just got beat up the entire time. So it's just not true. Like he was landing very competitive exchanges with Makhmud, and that was what threw him off. I think Makhmud was expecting like, I'm just going to dance around this guy and knock him out. And he started to get hurt on the feet. I think that Bruno Silva is there to be hit on the feet. So both these guys are going to exchange. Gerald's probably going to land some body kicks and he's probably going to die on a right cross. You know, that's probably what's going to happen. But am I going to lay -3XX to find out? No, I am not. It's a dog or pass situation. And I'm rooting for Gerald Meerschaert by sub. I was in the casino the night he beat Makhmudmuradov, yelling and screaming as my Inside the Distance was cashing, and everybody else looks from their chair like my parlay just busted, and I was the only one celebrating my boy. So hopefully same kind of scene happens on Saturday night, but I won't be counting on it because Bruno Silva is a big hitter, really good experience outside the UFC, and he's a hungry guy. He's fresh. Gerald's chin's right there to be hit. So have to pick based on logic Bruno Silva, but GM3 is my boy for life, not betting against him.
All right, makes sense. Saeed, how about you, man? What do you think?
Yeah, man, I think Gerald will get a submission because it's just good, man. Come on, man. I'm gonna give you guys all my picks and then I'm gonna dip. All right.
Drop them.
Good. Go for it.
I got Gerald by submission. I got Azamat KO. I got David Onama finish. And then Cheeto decision.
You bet all of those?
I'm gonna
I
pick
like
up.
it. I like it.
Sounds good. All right, man. You said you're
Love
heading
it.
out now?
All right, guys. Thanks for having me. I appreciate
Thank you for
it.
tuning in, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you for the absolute bag against Ronnie Lawrence, man. Thank you. Huge
Yo.
bag.
Seriously. Good shit. Thank you, Saeed. All right. That was pretty dope. But we will keep going. It's still my turn, actually, and I'm not on an island. You guys agreed with me for the most part. I like GM3 to win this fight, and look, let's go through it, right? We're talking about GM3 being chinny. All right, fine. Let's pull up his record. What's the last time he got knocked down? When he got knocked out by Khamzat Chimaev. When was the last time he got knocked down before then? When he got knocked out by Ian Heinisch. When was the last time he got knocked down before then? Oscar Piachota back in 2018. And before then, never. except he got knocked out by Thiago Santos, but no recorded knockdowns. So we talk about him being chinny, but I'm looking at his record and I'm not seeing any bad KO losses personally. And then you look at Bruno Silva, you look at his record. So debut fight, Wellington Turman, what happened? Turman found a ton of grappling success until Silva got on top and unleashed that terrifying ground and pound. Next fight, Andrew Sanchez, what happened? Andrew Sanchez got 7 takedowns, controlled him for 2 rounds, exhausted himself in classic Andrew Sanchez fashion, and got finished in round 3. And then Jordan Wright is Jordan Wright. I'm not going to really put much in Jordan Wright, and Bruno Silva is not a grappler. So personally, I would not be surprised if Meerschaert got him down without much effort and subbed him. I don't think it's going to happen immediately. I think it's going to take some time, some effort, but I do like GM3 to win by sub. Like you guys mentioned, Silva's got a bunch of losses by sub. He has this black belt in BJJ, which I don't believe for 1 second. And yeah, I mean, I like GM3 here. You guys agree, so we'll move on.
Well, I just got to add, which of these guys has a loss to Sam Alvey on their record? And that's really what should influence your betting play. And spoiler alert, it's GM3.
Was it decision? I'm looking at his record right now.
It was a unanimous decision way back in 2014. And I know that was a while ago, but it's still quite fresh.
Oh, it wasn't in the UFC,
Everybody
right?
was giving my boy grief about losing to Jay Ellis, but they won't talk about the fact that they rematched and he got it done. Right?
Yo, Jay Ellis is a GOAT, though. All right, let's be real here. Name one other fighter who's got the will to lose over 100 times and keep coming back.
Just Travis Fulton. Go watch the CJ MMA documentary.
But all right, we'll move on to the next fight. We've got Devin Clark versus Azamat Murzakanov. Devin Clark, 13-6-0, 6 feet tall, 32 years old, 75-inch reach, and he's training out of Elevation Fight Team with his father over there screaming at the top of his lungs. And then Murzakanov, 11-0, undefeated, 5'10", 71-inch reach. So he's given up 2 inches in height. He's given up 4 inches in reach. And I've got him training out of K Dojo Warrior Tribe still. And I think it's my turn. I believe it's my turn. So, yeah, I'm on Devin Clark. It makes me a bit uncomfortable because
It's not just your turn. It's your whole damn show, brother. You make the rules here.
Yeah, you get to decide, Mike.
I could come up with it as we go. You're right. But I like to give everybody their turn. So, Devin Clark, yeah, that's my pick. Devin Clark is my pick, and I'll explain why. Like, you look at the Murzakanov Nchukwi fight, like 90% of Twitter, I was on Nchukwi. I felt that Nchukwi had won 2 rounds to 0. I thought he was going to win that fight, and then, he got knocked out. But I was listening to Dan today from Half the Battle. Shout out to Dan Levy, absolute man. And he brought up a really good point. He was talking about this fight, and he's like, if you look at the judges' scorecards, Murzakanov won round 1. So that means going into round 3 on 2 judges' scorecards, we were looking at 19-19, right? And then if you look at Murzakanov, he gets that knockdown. Let's say he didn't KO him. He wins that fight, right? And I didn't look at it that way. Certainly I didn't until he said it. And I was like, you know what? You have a point. But even then, I still think that Clark can win this fight. Clark is way bigger. Clark is wrestling focused. And while I'm not convinced he's going to get takedowns here, I think that if we're against the cage, I'd expect Clark to be the one in control more often than Murzakanov. And then you look at the striking, I get people are saying Murzakanov's really fast. He could easily be a middleweight in my opinion. So I get the speed thing, but his striking's just not that good. I'm personally just not a big fan of overhand rights. I'm just not I don't like betting on that. I don't like betting on a hopeful KO. So yeah, I like Clark. I think Clark can tire him out. I think Clark can work him against the fence. And at distance, as long as he doesn't get chin checked, I still like Clark. So that's where I'm at. I played him money line. Let me give you guys the odds real quick. I played him at plus 145, and he's now, what is he? He's plus 125. So I beat the line a little bit. I'd still play him at these dog odds, but yeah. What do you think, Liam?
Yeah, so I was one of the few on Azamat Murzakanov last time out. I had him at minus 145, I think, on the money line, something like that. Think he closed a little bit closer, like minus 175, but I didn't feel great about the bet as it was playing out, to be honest with you. I was like, oh shit, this is a sweat. I thought Azamat was going to knock him out in the first round. And It did look to me like he was kind of working out a little bit of ring rust. The only issue I had with him going into that fight was that he had been off for a while. He is a little bit older to be coming in as like a prospect or something for the UFC, but he's in the right division for that. He's a little bit heavier weight class. And as far as I'm concerned, Devin Clark is a little bit of a bust prospect, not to say he can't get, to a higher level, but just most of the time he steps up in competition, he absorbs a lot of damage. He really gets hurt. And I think that the UFC is like scared to put him in with like upper echelon guys because they're kind of worried he's going to get badly hurt. Like he got his teeth broken against Iwan Kutalaba. And I know Kutalaba can be a scary guy, but like Kutalaba's the one normally getting his face bashed in after the first 5 minutes. And, he did a lot of damage in that fight. So for me, Devin Clark is like a guy who can win minutes. He can definitely exert his will. Shocking knockout, I thought, last time out against William Knight. But I
hit the round
William
3
Knight.
KO there, just saying.
Hey,
Plus
and more power
2,400.
to you.
Plus
That's-
2,400.
That's a hit and a half, dude.
I was
would
freaking
tell
out.
you,
I was freaking out.
William Knight, for me, though, is it's a little bit of a lower tier kind of UFC heavyweight, light
Oh,
heavyweight
yeah. Oh, yeah.
guy. So I think Azamat would probably do the same. I think he would do a number on him. So in this fight, I think Azamat's going to be a little bit more comfortable. He's going to be ready to get his game off. I don't think his wrestling is like sloppy. I think he'll be able to keep the fight upright for the most part. And if he's able to do that, and he's able to get him out of there early, I think it should be pretty clinical. That being said, the longer the fight goes, the more it favors Devin Clark to an extent. I do think Azamat has won decisions, but he tends to slow down just a touch over the course of his fights. Doesn't have a crazy physique or anything. Doesn't look like he's the world's most insane athlete. He's just technical at fighting, and he's quite good at lining up his shots. And he's landed a bunch of kill shots. Renat Fakhreddine, I think is his name. He's one of the better fighters in Brave. He knocked him out as well. So I do think regionally he showed some good wins, but he's got to put up or shut up at the UFC level, and I think this is a good opportunity for him to do so. I think he will win this fight, but I think that there will be a time to fade Azamat in the not too distant future.
I do want to say real quick. So I've actually been taping. I'm sorry. What was his name again?
Renat Fakhreddine.
Fakhreddine, right. So I've been taping Fakhreddine because he's fighting in PFL, and I've been doing my best to cover PFL and Bellator as well in terms of gambling. So I actually watched his tape, and I'm not going to lie, I don't think he's that good. Like, I thought he was very good going into it.
I said one of the better guys in Brave, all right?
I didn't say the best. I just said one of the better guys.
I thought I recognized the name when I first started taping it. I was like, isn't this guy really good? So then I went to go check it out, right? And his second to last fight, I believe, he fought this dude who he had to rematch, right? And he got finished. It says no contest, but he got finished. And the reason it's a no contest is because the guy rocked him in the back of the head. And I guess afterwards, they're like, this is very clear. They turned it to a no contest. And then they rematched and he won by KO. But it just showed to me that he's not some perfect guy. And Murzakanov, I don't know if you guys saw that fight, Murzakanov versus him. Murzakanov clipped him, bro. He just slept him real quick. So I don't know how much I think of Fakhreddine, but yeah, he is one of the better guys in Brave for sure. Ben, sorry, your turn, man.
Well, I was going to say we could have disputes over the quality of Mohamed Fakhreddine, but there is one win that Azamat has that really sparked my interest, which was Andre Muniz. Granted, that's a first-round KO 50 seconds in, but I am incredibly high on Muniz. And so
he's going to take out Asanya's title, I'm just saying.
I would not dispute that. I think that Andre over the next couple of years can develop in great ways. But the reality is, Brown Bear has been in the UFC for 6 years, right? He's been at this level, and we've talked about his experience against these maybe top tier guys. Every time he's got in there, he's lost, but he's still fighting them. He's still getting those minutes and getting that experience. And, gatekeeper, journeyman, those labels do apply, but I don't love a guy who doesn't have a ton of experience. I always kind of want to lean towards the veteran, especially a guy like Devin Clark, who is as durable as a brick wall. His face was busted against Iwan. He lasted through the full 15 minutes. Have we seen a ton of Azamat outside the first 5? Not entirely. So I'm not saying that Azamat can't run in there and just nuke him like he has. In fact, I was doing a TikTok live for Verdict, and I had this guy in here who was just dick riding the fuck out of Azamat. And I was like trying to explain, hey, look, I like the more veteran guy who's been in the UFC. He's fought these top guys. And the guy was just shouting, no, it's Azamat. It's going to be Azamat. You're going to be wrong. And I'm like, I'm not disagreeing. It's tough. But at the same time, plus money on Devin Clark. I feel like I want to lean towards him in this one. So that's going to be my bet.
Now, if Clark wins, you're never going to hear the end of it, Ben. That guy's never going to leave you alone.
Never. I never hear the end of it when I put $1.50 on plays. So this is just
Bro, I'll say this. My units aren't as small as yours, but they're damn close. So no unit shaming around here. No unit shaming around here. But
they hate you when you win. They hate you when you lose. They hate that you're a piece of crap if you get the pick wrong. And if you get the pick right, you think you're so smart anyway. You just can't.
Haters gonna hate. You lose, you're a loser. Yeah. You win, you're cocky. You can just never win. Like my favorite example is Clint. I love Clint. I've been watching this guy forever. And he, like, say what you want about this year, but I think he's pretty good in terms of dogs. And, like, you look at him, right? Every time he posts a dog, he gets roasted.
Yeah.
And then this guy posts a 3-unit Jonathan Martinez bet. The second he puts it, a guy's like, square. Do you want to bet favorites or not?
I literally, I was getting lunch with Connor Burks last week when I was in New York, and one of the things that we were talking about was how fucking toxic the betting community is. It truly is a shame. And I was talking to him, and I was like, man, we want this sport to be more mainstream, but this group of assholes is a just sore spot. So I don't know. They gotta figure it out.
Yeah, the thing I don't love is the cappers versus cappers thing. Like, it's us versus the bookies. Like, we're trying to take their money. Stop fighting each other.
It's like blackjack, right? It's like blackjack. We're fighting the dealer. I'm not gonna shit on this dude. It's like, hey, you're on 13. Why aren't you hitting? It's like, I don't give a fuck.
Everybody does that
though. Be the change you want to see. That's what I always say. I try and be positive. I try and just tell people what I'm betting, why I'm betting it. Hope you enjoy. Let's all talk and try and figure it out. If you don't want my pick at the end, now you have the information. Now you know why I'm there. That's it. That's
exactly.
Simple. You're an adult. Make your own decision.
I'll say this. The two most positive personalities in MMA Twitter I know, Clint and Liam. So props to them. But yeah, real quick, I wanted to add with the bets for Devin Clark and Murzakanov. Real quick, I hear a lot about Devin Clark and his chin, right? But Ben mentioned this. He's taken a lot of shots from really tough guys. Like, you look at the Menefield fight. Menefield was favored quite a bit there. I had just gotten into sports betting, and I asked my brother, I was like, who do I bet? He's like, Menefield. Okay, bet Menefield. And, I thought it was a pretty good performance. He took the shots. He did what he had to do. He survived, and then he won the fight. So, and he's fought some hard hitters. Ian Cutelaba, who broke his teeth but didn't knock him out. You look down his record. Ryan Spann subbed him. He didn't knock him out. Rakic, spinning back fist. Blakovic didn't knock him out. He subbed him. So, and then the first one was Nicholson. So, but yeah, I do think Clark can win this. And the one other thing I wanted to say is I did cash his round 3 TKO KO prop last time, and I'm probably going to go back to the well again. The way I do this is I go 0.1 unit because I think that the win-loss situation there is just good. Like, you lose 0.1 unit. You win if you're doing it correctly and you're not just spamming these bets, but you're actually trying to add logic to it. I feel like it's good spots. So I kind of want to bet Clark TKO round 3 again, plus 2,800. What's stopping me is that William Knight made sense because William Knight has terrible cardio. I never thought highly of him to begin with. His muscle has carried him to where he is. Like, I don't want to disrespect anyone, but I just don't think that William Knight was ever that good. Like, the Brundage fight, he was getting clipped, and then Brundage made a mistake, left his head out, and got rocked. William Knight is just so freaking strong. The Fabio Charant knockout. Do you guys remember that punch? It looked like this, with no windup. He just rocked him and knocked him out. So, to tire someone like that, it's not that surprising, especially at heavyweight. I feel like Murzakanov, while watching his tape originally, I would think this guy would probably gas by round 3. You look at his record. He's got what? He's been to decision twice. And outside of that, he's only been outside of round 1 2 times. So
I think that Gudo in Ascension fight is at heavyweight off the top of my head. And I'm pretty sure he won that by actually wrestling Gudo in Ascension for the last 10 minutes of the fight. He was like, yeah, F this guy can't wrestle. So he just took him down. And that's the one thing that gives me pause. I haven't seen him defend a lot of takedowns, but he has offensive wrestling, so I do think he's going to be competent as a wrestler, but pace is what can make somebody break and make mistakes in the wrestling, so it's what Devin Clark's going to bring.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for sure. I can't wait to hear Devin Clark's dad screaming. It's amazing, man. I want him as an alarm clock. Can you imagine that? I would wake up every day so fucking motivated. I'd get out there ready to kill the day.
I'll never oversleep again.
Yeah, right. I want to say before we move too forward into the card, some Bellator breaking news: Patricky Pitbull and Usman Nurmagomedov, November 18th. Early
when it
thoughts
got
on that one?
announced?
Yeah,
I feel like Usman wins that, no?
I haven't I love the Pitbull brothers, but at the same time, Usman Nurmagomedov has been picture perfect.
You know, you look at the whole like brother sibling scenario in MMA.
Mhm.
Like 9 out of 10 times, there's an A side, B side, right? There's a better brother and a worse brother, or a better sister and a worse sister, right? And I feel like that's kind of the situation.
When your brother has to let the belt go to give you an opportunity to snag some gold, it certainly doesn't inspire confidence.
Especially when your brother's like 2 inches, 3 inches shorter than you.
Right.
Yeah. Used to be a bantamweight.
And then anyone fighting under Nurmagomedov, I mean, that's just a spot to fade. I feel like historically that's always cast, Liam.
Did that just get announced?
Yeah, you're probably hitting 90% there. On
right.
The Nurmagomedovs, yeah.
And the ones that lose aren't related. They just have the same name.
Did you guys see the Patchy Mix fight they announced?
No, please tell me, because Patchy Mix is my boy.
Oh, no. I'm so sorry. It's not Patchy Mix. I mix them up every single time. I mix up Patchy Mix and McKee every single time, man. They're like the same fighter to me. McKee versus Spike Carlisle. What do you guys think of that one?
Spike's on a tear, but, you know, against lesser competition.
Yeah, but he was losing most of those fights till he won.
Hey, that's the GOAT right there. That's why he's the GOAT.
Well, for cardio and toughness, you know, it's weird because, like, Spike gasses, but he just keeps fighting while he gasses out. You know, he's kind of unbelievable in that way. But I think that that's kind of where the rubber meets the road. McKee is simply a much better fighter.
If McKee wants to throw. That was my I was there covering 277 cage side, and I was so frustrated on behalf of McKee because I was like, look, when you're throwing, you're connecting, and the optics of that obviously are going to get rounds in your pocket, but he just was not throwing. He seemed confused. So if Spike really wants to leverage the durability and just completely fucking come forward, I'm not saying he can win. It's very low odds, but, you know, stylistically, we'll just see.
I thought his body looked a little softer in that last fight than the first fight, just straight up. So I think that if he sorts that out, it could have been an injury, it could have been weight cut problem, whatever it was. I think if he sorts that out, that was kind of a flat performance from him all around. I thought he was a much better fighter than Patricio the first time they fought. And normally you don't see somebody flip the script that kind of way. And I thought he did so pretty convincingly. I think it might've been a split or whatever, but it seemed pretty clear to me. So I don't anticipate that'll happen again if they rematch, but McKee's got to prove it, and he's got to show up in shape.
Yeah. Personally, I posted this the other day. I hope that Carlisle loses, and I hope that Landwehr loses because I want to see them fight. I don't care what promotion, but I feel like that would be absolute chaos. Landwehr versus Spike Carlisle. Give it to me.
That needs to happen. Needs to happen.
But, yeah, we'll move on to a fight that honestly should have been on the Contender Series. I'm not exactly sure why it's not, but I'm extremely excited to pronounce one of the names because Brady posted a video the other day of him trying to pronounce her name, and I thought it was absolutely hysterical. So we've got Yazmin Jauregui versus Yazmin Lucindo. Jauregui is 8-0, 23 years old. 5'3", 64-inch reach, and I have her training out of Entrim Gym, so that's pretty good. And then Lucindo is 13-4-0. She's 20 years old, which is absolutely nuts. Made her MMA debut at 15. She's 5'3" as well, and I have her training out of Fight House MMA. So, who went last? You guys remember?
I think it was you.
You did, yeah.
All right, so Liam, it's your turn, man.
My man, this is a fight I actually started looking into earlier today. Most of the time, a UFC main card, frankly, I'm familiar with all the names involved. So stood out to me that there were 2 women on the card I was not aware of. Becomes very clear why. Both of them are fighting on regional scenes in South America. And both of them, have kind of earned their way to this spot, I would say. One of these girls is 20 years old. She's been fighting as a professional since 14. She has not lost, I don't believe, since she was 18 years of age. So that's a feather in her cap. She's been out there. She's been fighting real girls, has a win over Sarah Frota as well, former UFC fighter. But do I, have a clear idea of how to project her moving forward? No, I don't. This is her first cut to 115 pounds. She's fought at 125, 121 pounds as well. She looked good in her last fight, went out there against somebody who has a judo black belt, but looked, to be honest with you, severely overmatched in terms of all other MMA skills. She was getting taken down quite easily, and her get-up game was virtually non-existent. So I think that the question I have about Lucindo is, can she get these takedowns against better girls? Will she have the cardio if somebody starts working their way back up to the feet to continuously pursue takedowns? Because I think at space, she doesn't seem like she's comfortable throwing a lot of volume. She'll throw some high kicks. She'll throw a left hook, a right hand. Really doesn't have a ton of potent offense. I think her opponent is going to be much more comfortable on the feet. Yazmin, the Mexican fighter, Entram Gym, you're going to expect boxing. You're going to expect some low kicks. That's kind of what they bring to the table as their meat and potatoes, their basic game. And I think that on top of that, she has a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She's going against a blue belt. She's a little bit older. I think her physical maturation is going to be the ultimate difference maker here. The fact that she's got the experience at strawweight. So for me, it's a little bit of a setup fight, potentially, maybe a little bit of that marketing, Mexican audience, Mexican fan base. A lot of Mexican fighters are featured on this card, as a matter of fact. So I think that could be a potential narrative, like you mentioned. But just in terms of how I view this fight, I think both these girls could have a future in the UFC, but 20 years old, I'm 24, right? Both these women are younger than I am. 20 years old. I wasn't as physically developed as I am now. I wasn't as mature as I am now.
I was a mess at 20.
Yeah. My weight cutting process from the time I was like 19 to the time of today has changed, drastically. So for all those reasons, think that she's just got a lot more to overcome. She's coming to the United States. She doesn't have a huge social media following. She's going to be in front of a crowd, probably the biggest crowd of her career by some large margin. I think all of that could be a factor. When you're 20 years of age, when you're being put in this kind of spot, UFC main card for your first debut in the United States, it's a lot to ask. And I think for all those reasons, I'm going to have to side with the favorite here. But am I interested in laying the chalk? No, not at this stage. Maybe if I check through and I see she could defend the takedowns and pop back up to her feet, but just on a top line analysis, I do side with the favorite here. I think she's a little bit further along in her development, both physically and her MMA skills. But an angle I've targeted for a long time is a younger fighter with more experience, and we do have that here. She has been fighting as a pro since 14. So am I going to be stunned if she comes out here and has the composure and everything to go? No, I'm not going to be stunned. She's got 17 professional fights. This might just be another Saturday night for her. But I think that with the UFC optics, with the fact that she's going to be, in this this kind of environment for the first time, like my man Locker Room, appreciate you watching. But for me, I think that's a big problem at 20 years of age. So give me the older fighter here, but should be a nice battle between the Yazmins. I think they both will win fights in the UFC.
Before I pass this to Bane, I do want to mention one thing. You mentioned the crowd thing, because we are going to have a crowd in San Diego, right? So if you look at them too, Uregi, she's fought in Combate, right? Her last 3 fights. But Yazmin, she's been fighting in Brazil, and I'll just say the Brazilian crowds, they're crazy. I don't know how they are in the regionals. Maybe it's different, but I imagine it's not much different, because if they're pulling up to the regionals, they got to be diehards or family. So just something to mention, but I don't think it really matters much here. I'll let Bane keep going, and then I'll tune in.
Locker Room, I've definitely got the headphone game on lock with these cans. Now, admittedly, Yazmin from Tijuana, I do think that the home field advantage will kind of edge in her favor. Okay, Mike. I don't have a Viking helmet in
I was
my
too
room.
embarrassed to pull it out when Sadioku was here, so I was waiting.
he pops back in just to see. Now, I will say, the regional rankings on Tapology, it's tough to put a lot of stock into it, but Yazmin Uruguay, that's how I'm going to go with the pronunciation, is at the top of it, ahead of Invicta champions, Invicta fighters. So, obviously, the people that are compiling that list see something that probably I don't. I don't have much knowledge on these women, but again, I'm going to side with Yazmin. Slightly older. Liam was talking about the physical maturation, the changes that your body goes through at 20 versus 23. Big difference physically.
They're both Yazmin, Ben.
They're both up. Is that an L? Is that Lasmin? We've got Yazmin with a Y, and then I think that's an L. Maybe
It's like Yazmin and Yasmin.
Yazmin. Yeah, okay, so let's boil it down to weird fucking name. I'm gonna go with Yazmin with a Y because that feels like a more correct pronunciation. Yazmin, figure out the name with the loss that you're gonna accrue Saturday night.
All right, so I'm back on the island. I'm getting used to it. So yeah, I mean, you guys mentioned some good points, and like I agree with them, and it can go either way. So Uregi, she's a great striker. You look at her striking, and she's so crisp. Like there's so much to like, but we don't have much to work with in terms of her grappling. And the one time I did see her like try to get taken down, she got taken down, and in order to get back up, what did she do? She grabbed the fence. That's the only reason she got up. So that doesn't necessarily tell me, Lucinda's gonna like out grapple her for 15 minutes, but it does suggest to me that it's possible that she finds some success on the ground. I think that Lucindo, her striking is not very good at all. There's so much lacking. And if this remains on the feet, I think Uregi's going to probably kill her, honestly, knock her out at least. So, but I'm playing Uregi by sub. Not Uregi. I'm sorry. I'm playing Lucindo by sub. She is a BJJ purple belt. She does go for those submissions pretty actively. She only has one sub win, according to Tapology. I go off of Tapology, and they sometimes miss a lot of methods of result. So, like, I'm missing a few, I'm sure. But I have one sub win only for her. Uregi never been submitted, never won a sub. But, yeah, I think if we stay on the feet, it's easily Uregi. I think that if we go to the ground, Lucindo's going to have a big advantage. And I just played it by submission for Lucindo for an eighth of a unit to win one. I like my cheap plays, and I feel like this is a pretty cheap way to play it. I don't think you should be paying minus, 210 on somebody who we haven't seen yet at all. So that's what I'm thinking, but we can move right along. Next up, all right, it's our co-main event, I believe. We've got David Onama versus Nate Landwehr. Onama, 10-1-0, 28 years old, 5'11", 74-inch reach, training out of Glory MMA. On the other side, we've got Landwehr. He is 15-4-0, 34 years old, so he's 6 years older, 5'9", giving up 2 inches in reach, 71-inch reach, and I have him still training out of MMA Masters. So, yeah, Bane, why don't you start us off, man?
Tough debut for Onama and Mason Jones, and obviously wrong side of the scorecards that night, but perfect since with 2 finishes over Mowgli Benitez and Garrett Armfield. Armfield, game as hell coming into this one. It was his UFC debut, but proved that he belonged to the promotion. I'm not overly sold on Nate the Train. I think that he's durable. I think that he's a good fighter. He possesses a lot of well-rounded tools, but not particularly sharp in any specific area. And he's got a loss to Herbert Burns, which has aged like yogurt in the sun. So I would want to edge with Onama. I feel Onama finish inside the distance. That just feels like what we're going to see. I think that he might, rattle him on the feet and take it to the ground and find the submission finish. He's got the H. He's got that slight edge in reach. He's got the height. So it all seems like Onama is gonna not surprise necessarily, make a statement in this co-main event. Makes
sense. Liam, how about you, man?
Yeah, so this is a fight. I'm going to do some more due diligence before I end up making any plays. Haven't considered it too much from a betting perspective yet. Odds are quite wide on the Onama side, and that was sort of where I was looking. The odds have even shot up from when I initially looked at it. It was like, minus 2xx. I think it's even hit minus 3xx in some places now. So for me, That's a lot less appealing, right? Last fight, shout out my man Just Win Baby, put me on pretty shortly before the event. You know, I was kind of looking through whether I was going to add any sub props, and he was like, dude, I think Onama sub plus 500 makes no sense. Armfield's a tough guy, as we saw, and not easy to put away with the strikes, but can gas out a little bit when you put him on the ground in those tough situations, and got put away by Onama in that spot. So we've seen Landwehr was able to submit Ludovic Klein. It's a big win. You know, you got to give some credit and respect there, but I thought it was mostly pressure. And Chael Sonnen talks about if you're in a fight that's harder than you think it's going to be, I think that's what happened to Ludovic Klein. You know, he thought, I'm going to knock out Nate the Train in the first round. This guy keeps going down, and he wasn't able to do so. And it really broke him mentally. He kind of slowed down in that fight. And I think we've seen a renewed, much better product from Klein since. But that's a big win, and I want to give him that credit. That being said, though, Nate the Train takes a lot of damage in a lot of his fights. You know, he did in the Russian regional scene. He did since he's come to the UFC as well. Hasn't really had a fight where he, went in and got a really clean, victory. He's had some nice moments, but for the most part, he's been on the highlight reel moments for these other guys. So I think that Onama's probably being set up for a win here. Don't love the price, like I mentioned, but think that he probably gets the job done. So give me David Onama to win the fight inside the distance. But yeah, haven't made any bets yet.
Yeah, man, I'm on Onama as well. Sorry, it's been a long day, but I do want to mention a few things on the Landwehr side, because looking at the odds now, I've been like, wow. Like, I can't blame anyone for taking a shot on Landwehr, and I'll explain why. So you look at him, right? And you were just mentioning the Ludovic Klein fight. And up until that point, yeah, Landwehr, how did he defend shots? Like this. With his face. That's how he defended shots. But you look at the Ludovic Klein fight, and his striking defense in that fight was 51%. Not amazing at all, but it's better than what he was before, right? What's his average? I'll look it up right now.
Not good.
51%, actually. It's 51% on the dot. And yeah, you look at that, like, that's good. But the other way, like, you look on the other side, and how did Landwehr find success in that Ludovic Klein fight? You mentioned it, Liam. The pressure. I'm pretty sure Ben mentioned it too. It was the pressure. Onama has felt that pressure. Literally, his debut at 155 was against Mason Jones, who didn't leave him alone. Wouldn't stop moving forward. So I don't think that Onama is going to be like shocked by that pressure, right? And then in terms of power, you give it to Onama. The size, Onama. Grappling edge, probably Onama. Striking, Onama. So I don't really see how you can't take Onama here. I mean, I don't blame any dog shots at, like, what is it now? Plus 270 on Bet Online. I mean, that's just absurd. I think that it's a closer fight than that, but I do like Onama. I parlayed him at minus 230 with Ode Osbourne. I mentioned it earlier today. Just for one unit, I think I got that at plus odds. I don't remember exactly, but I kind of like that spot myself. But also, Liam, you mentioned the sub for Onama. You hit that?
I did, yeah, plus 500. It was a very, very nice cash. And like I said, shout out my man Just Win Baby. He was like, bro, don't let this one pass you by. I looked into it myself.
That's what I did.
Yeah, that's a great bet. And I put it in and was very thankful I did.
I'm pretty sure I mentioned that bet to Lou, and then I ended up not taking it. I was like, I feel like Onama can KO him. And
isn't that always the way, dude? We give somebody else the great read.
Right. But yeah, I will say this. I really want to see Armfield at bantamweight. I feel like he's going to be an animal. I don't know about you guys, but I'm hyped for that. But
I would tend to agree, man.
We are up to the main event, and I'm actually super hyped to hear what you guys have to say about this one. We've got Marlon Vera versus Dominick Cruz. Vera is 21, 7-1, 29 years old, 5'8", 71-inch reach, and I think he's still training out of no, he's not. He's at RVCA now. And Cruz on the other side, 24, 3-0, 37 years old. So he's given up 8 years here. 5'8", 68-inch reach, giving up about 3 inches in reach. Training out of Alliance MMA. And I think it's my turn. So I'll just go ahead and take it. I'm going to be playing Dominick Cruz here, man. And I'll explain why. So I went into this. And again, I was kind of looking at the favorite. I was like, it makes sense. Let me check this out. And I'll probably place the bet on Vera. Parlay him or something. And I started to watch, and like, while Vera does do so much good, right? Like the power, the deadliness, just like the dog in him. Like the way he fights is so good. Like he's a real contender out here. But let's look at his Aldo fight, right? What happened in round 3? Aldo didn't feel comfortable, put him against the fence, and held him there for the entire round. And how did Cheeto react? He was furious. He was so pissed. He was so tight. He was not happy that he couldn't get off with his striking. So if Dominick Cruz is prancing around for 5 rounds and Marlon Vera can't land anything that he wants to land, and he's getting frustrated, I'm starting to really favor Cruz, because Cruz, that's when he does the best. When his opponents are missing and they get frustrated, they really swing, and then he'll start landing on you all day. So because of that, I feel like I have to play Cruz. I feel like he's got a major. So you can't say experience edge, right? Because it's actually Marlon Vera with the experience edge. But in terms of competition, I do lean Cruz. It's hard not to. We're talking about a guy who's fought most of his fights at championship levels. But yeah, I just think that he can frustrate Vera. I do give the striking, technique, power, just overall edge to Vera. And I think that if he can slow down Cruz, like leg kicks, stuff like that, I think he has a very serious chance. But I kind of do favor Cruz here. And Liam, I'm hyped to hear what you think.
It's a hell of a fight, right? Most of the fights on here been a little bit clearer, a little bit easier to dissect, right? If this happens, this happens. It's like a lot of fights are binary in that way. If they're able to get the takedown, it's going to look, hindsight minus 300. This is a tricky fight, right? I could see this fight playing out a number of different ways. Cheeto Vera, his upside is he's extremely dangerous. He hits pretty hard. He's rocked people in many fights. He's found comeback victories by landing big shots. And he tends to turn up as the fight goes on. So you see, some of the fights he's lost to my boy Song Yadong, who on Half the Battle earlier this year, I predicted would be in the top 5 at bantamweight. That was a very tough fight for him, right? Marlon Vera is not going to give you, an easy fight. He's not going to give you an easy win. Davey Grant back in the day, beat him up. But basically since then, nobody's like mugged Marlon Vera, nobody's just like went out there and beat him up and made it look easy. But that being said, a lot of guys have won minutes against Marlon Vera, which is a cause for concern when the guy's a big favorite. It's not to say that is something that's going to manifest here, but Marlon Vera gives away the first round in most of his fights, right? So something that we talk about sometimes in the betting community is like, well, if I can find an underdog who's going to win the first round, I might give myself an opportunity to arb out, to hedge out, to play the other side, to get both sides at plus money, all sorts of different ways you could try and play that strategically. Now, that being said, I know a lot of other people who are waiting for their opportunity to enter on Cheeto Vera round 2, round 3, right as he starts to flip that switch and come back, which is what he tends to do in fights. He doesn't just shut off as he's losing. Even in that Aldo fight, Aldo's my boy. I bet Aldo there. I thought that was a great spot. I was a little bit nervous because I was like, if Jose Aldo didn't get that body triangle, we might be telling a different story. He looked like he was under duress there, was able to get the back taken. Do you think Jose Aldo was trying to finish a rear naked choke, guys? No, he was trying to hold on to that body lock for
you didn't want to strike
and get done with the next however many minutes. But here's my other question. What was Cheeto Vera's answer on the ground there? He didn't have one. He just was stuck. And he was like talking to the ref, holding wrists, like, fuck you, like, like yelling over his shoulder, like punching backwards.
Getting
That's not
pissed.
gonna win fights. He kind of reminded me of Jorge Masvidal in a sense. Back in the day when Masvidal would give away a fight 29-28 and then be pissed, because he could have done a little bit more, or if he hadn't made this mistake, but he kind of just does it habitually, right? That's why these guys are fun. That's why they're awesome. That's why they make it to main event status. I think Cheeto Vera, he's 29 years of age. It's foolish. It's naive almost to think he can't fight for a UFC title. He's got some losses, but the guy continues to improve. He continues to stack skills. I don't know that he has that plus level athleticism, that, A1, like this guy is just clearly a dominant athlete. I don't think he has that. That's why he loses first rounds. That's why he doesn't go out there and out wrestle people, right? Most of what he does is beat up people in the clinch with elbows and knees and being a savage and being relentless and being really tough and trying to make it a fight. Dominick Cruz is very good at making it a tactical battle. He's very good at making it something where it's a sport. We're trying to win rounds. We're trying to win minutes and positions. And if that's the fight that we get, Dominick Cruz is probably going to be a very live underdog. If it's a fight, if it turns into a fight, it's probably going to favor Chito Vera. He's the much younger guy. He's a guy who's got some power in his own right. Dominick Cruz, who I love, did get dropped badly, right, against Pedro Munoz. And most guys, that fight's over. Hate to say, like, he hit the deck, he went face down, he got back up, he hit the deck again. Like, there's a lot that went wrong
That
there.
was like only 20 punches, too. That was like in the beginning.
But then the thing I think that makes Dominick Cruz such a dynamic fighter is that he grabs a hold of the guy's wrist, pins it together, sit out Peterson. Now he's on top. It's like, who does that? You know, it's like, that's only a champion, only a guy who's like a really high level operator comes back in that fight. You know, most people just, they lose and we never talk about it. We never have that kind of moment where Dom Cruz, you know, at 36 is hitting, you know, sit out, Granby roll, whatever, anything it took to survive. You know, he's not looking for a way out of the fight, right? If you wanted to say, you know, there, you could accuse some guys, hey, you know, he could have fought a little harder there. He maybe didn't even want to keep fighting. Tom Cruise wants to keep fighting against anybody. Henry Cejudo tried to put a knee through this guy's cranium. Most other people are dead. You know, most people are just against the canvas. This guy's like back to his feet yelling at the referee about booze and cigarettes. Like,
alcohol and cigarettes.
For me, I haven't decided if I'm going to bet on this fight yet, but what I will say is minus 245 pre-fight on Chito is something I will not be laying. That I'm sure of. Maybe it's my research tells me by the end, hey, it's a live bet on Cheeto season. You know, just wait around, get the optimal price. I just doubt. I'm very doubtful that minus 245 is going to be an optimal price on Chito Vera this weekend. I think you'll get a better number if you wait till after round one, for example. So those are the kind of things that make me, you know, look towards the underdog here, but haven't made any plays yet, haven't decided what I'm going to do. I think it's a really fascinating, compelling fight. And these are the kind of fights that I end up doing 10 hours of research and watching back 50 more fights. But what I watched top line showed me Dominick Cruz is still a great, talented fighter, but I don't think he's got that hitting power. I don't think he's going to stop Chito Vera, for example. I think that would be a very low percentage outcome here. So, you know, it's going to be a hell of a fight. And I think it's a clear dynamic in the sense that if it looks like a fight, Chito Vera is probably going to win and might even finish very tough Dominick Cruz. But if it looks like a tactical battle, I think Dominick Cruz might edge him out there. It's going to be a hell of a fight.
Took me a second to press that on mute. How about you, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to add any more wrinkles to this conversation, but obviously a couple stats that I do want to bring to light. 55 takedowns landed in total for Dominick Cruz, but the last couple of years, it's not like he's been a big takedown threat. 1 of 9 against Munoz, only a couple against Kenny. Like, I think Dan Hardy watched his breakdown. He said 11 to 20% success on the takedowns last couple of years. All-time 55. Last couple of years, not so much. So we talk about the offensive wrestling. I don't know how much of a factor that's going to play. So the position that Aldo's getting on the ground and all these, I just don't see Dom having it. But again, that footwork, that's something that is always prevalent, so difficult. It's inspired many top UFC bantamweights footworks for years to come, but he's very injury prone, Dominick Cruz is. That's why he spends so much time on the sidelines. And we talk about the athleticism fading as he gets older. We're seeing him get clipped a little bit more than he did earlier, the middle of his career. And against a guy like Marlon Vera, who has a lot of weapons and tools that come at the sides, you know what I mean? That'll cut down that movement. That'll keep him a bit more stationary, and that'll open up the knees and the elbows. And I don't want to say it'll make Dominick Cruz not want to do the sways and all that. I doubt that. He's such a veteran of the sport, but it'll give him cause for concern. And again, we've seen him take some shots. Now Marlon Vera, most finishes in the division's history, prolific at 9, 5 KOs, 4 submissions. And he is a guy, like we've talked about, who starts slow, who gives up minutes. He only landed 167 strikes against Rob Font's 271. But look at Rob Font at the end of that fight, like he'd been in a car crash. You know what I mean? Like he went through every single seat on the bus through that window. And I think that kind of epitomizes my thoughts on this one. Over 25 minutes, Vera is going to land. Vera's going to bust him up. We'll just see how Dom Cruz responds. Historically, he has responded great. What has Marlon Vera lost to? Decisions. All 7 losses by the judges' scorecards. Historically, what's Dom Cruz great at? Decisions. 16 of 24 wins on the judges' scorecards. So, and especially we talk about the veteran experience, how many of his fights have been title fights, 5 rounds. Vera just dipping his toes into these 5-round affairs. You could just see a lot more of historical evidence to substantiate Dominick Cruz. And especially at the number that he's at, you're like, okay, plus plus odds on this guy who's at this level, who's been at this level. But again, I can't keep getting away from how much of a dog Marlon Vera is, how much he's going to come forward, how much he can find these shots. So I'll rapid fire some of the things that caught my eye when I was looking through the bets. Marlon Vera in round 4 plus 1,800, round 5 plus 2,500. I feel if it's going to be a finish, it might be within the championship rounds. Snagging above plus 1,800, can't hate. Vera by sub plus 700, KO plus 300. So not bad there if you want to go Marlon inside the distance and shoot specifically. If you're going to do double chance, yeah, it's going to be like minus odds. So I just don't see too much value. Cruz decision plus 275, which I think is going to be my big, piece is Cruz decision plus 275. This guy gets it done on the scorecards. I think he has the ability to do it. We've seen Vera lose in recent years. We've seen him get frustrated. And like we talked about, that's where Dominick Cruz's bread is butter.
Yeah, man. You look at Dominick Cruz right now by decision, he's like plus 280. That honestly might be how I end up playing it because I don't see him getting. Oh, we're getting spammed a little bit.
We got a porn bot. We got a porn bot.
I actually think that my presence just like facilitates them. Like,
nah, I get them all the time. I get them all the time.
Oh
they comment on my YouTube. They're like,
thank goodness. At least it's not just me, brother.
It's like in Russian, and it's like, here's our porn site. And I'm just like, can you not?
They see this Greek god, Liam, right here, and they're like, we have to promote our not safe for work site.
This sweaty pig after jiu-jitsu. They see this, and they're like, hey, something positive there.
I will say this, though. Bane mentioned it. I haven't played Dominick Cruz yet, even though I am going to. But the play I do have on this fight already is Vera round 4 TKO KO and Vera round 5 KO TKO. When it comes to like plays like this, like I'll play both sides if I think it's worth it, and I do because I think that Cruz is I lean Cruz. How's Cruz gonna win? A decision. He's not gonna finish Vera. I'd be so shocked if he did. Like originally, I was gonna play Cruz just money line because he was like plus 200, and Bet Online opened his decision at plus 225. So there's no point, right? But now you're talking Cruz plus 280 by decision. Like I really like that. And then you look at Vera. How do I think he's gonna win? By really hurting Cruz. So round 4, round 5 is probably where I expect him to win. So I don't hate that look. That's probably how I'm going to end up. I already have the Vera bets placed. I got plus 220, plus 2,200 on the round 4 KO and plus, I think, 3,500 on the round 5. You can actually get better now. You can get plus 4,000 and plus 28, I think, something like that. So that's probably how I'd look at it. But that's it for me. And, yeah, that's a card. We just finished the card. And thank you guys for tuning in. Ben, what's up?
Mention, we talked about that home field advantage. Dominick Cruz fighting in the own backyard. Typically, that does favor the guy unless your name's Derek Lewis. So I do imagine that sentiment will spur on the former champion to maybe put on a vintage performance. Not going to say career best. He's an aged guy. But I think that plays into his wheelhouse, having so much love from the crowd.
Yeah, I actually forgot to mention that. That's a good point. But yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. We got 9 live viewers left. Thank you guys for staying this long. Liam, Ben, thank you guys for coming over, helping me break down this card. Saeed Yaqub, thank you wherever you are. And I'll let you guys just tell the people where to find you. So, Liam, why don't you go first?
Absolutely. So appreciate you having me on, man. It was a lot of fun. I love talking fights. So you can find me doing it everywhere at Liam Picks Fights. That's all I do, really. I talk about fights. I write about fights. And I go train jiu-jitsu. So that's what I love. I love martial arts. If you guys love it too, I'm sure you'll find something that I'm doing that you like. And if you checked it out this week, second article on the Action Network, 5 for 5 on Contender Series picks this week. Was very happy about that after a slow start for the Action Network. So right back at it for me and excited to get back to work.
Liam, if you don't mind, who you got this week for Contender Series, the upcoming one? I got some picks too, so I'm curious.
I would say that I actually haven't fleshed out my full thoughts on the card yet, but I know that you are on at least one underdog that I have my eyes on. So if that doesn't give too much away, it's definitely one of the underdogs that you played. I saw.
Oh, I only played one, so Hassan Zada.
Oh, shit. Damn it, I gave it away, but there you go, yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to be on that side before all is said and done. Yeah, I think he's a pretty talented grappler from what I saw, and think that his opponent might be a little suspect in the grappling, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, I'll mention it when it's my turn, but I'll be doing a Contender Series show this Friday. I really try to do them early. So, but Ben, tell them where to find you. I'm sure most people already know you, but go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, Mike, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Liam, it's so good. I talk to this guy all the fucking time, and so it's great to finally get some face-to-face. At Ben the Bane Davis on all platforms, much more of a comedic account. Mixed martial arts media is more my specialty, being a correspondent, reporting, doing interviews and things like that. I am probably the worst bettor I know. Every week it slips.
Biggest units on Twitter, though.
Yeah, huge. Guys, if you want to see a guy who's just laying down Drake level stacks,
20 units,
40, 20, 40. I'm blowing through, my grandma's couch cushions with what I'm putting down each week. But yeah, I love talking fights as well. I'm so into mixed martial arts. It's my one love. So if you're interested in that, come follow up Ben the Bane Davis.
All right. And I mean, if you're here, you probably know me. Couch Warrior podcast every Tuesday, usually until Contender Series is over. We're going to go Wednesday, though, because I can't compete with the UFC. And Thursdays, I drop like a 5 to 10 minute video for my bets, Mike's bets. That's going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm also going to drop a PFL and a Bellator card breakdown. So make sure to be checking that out. And Fridays, I do my Contender Series breakdowns. I do them nice and early. I know Liam does them on Mondays with Gordo and Narco, I believe.
That's correct. Thank you, buddy.
Make sure to check them out. They kill it too. And thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great weekend. Good luck. Kill those bookies. And have a good one.